Dr. Rob Brumbaugh, Executive Director of the Nature Conservancy in the Caribbean, Dr. Elizabeth Schaefer, Coral Conservation Program Manager, the Nature Conservancy in the Caribbean, Ms. Lorraine Lucky, Executive Director, Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association, and other members of the association, Ms. Jean Brown, our performer, specially invited guests, partners and stakeholders, TNC Caribbean leadership team, TNC Caribbean staff, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Buenos días, señora y señores, y bienvenido. Bienvenido a la mesiento de nuestra campana de concientización sobre aguas residuales. Well, I think I will end my Spanish there for the time being, since we have a translator who I'm very sure can do a much better job than I can. I promise you, though, that in another year's time, I will be able to do the entire introduction in Spanish. Just to say, as I said, we do have language translation interpretation available for our Spanish-speaking colleagues from the Dominican Republic. Just click the interpretation button in the meeting controls, and then you select Spanish as your language of choice to listen, which would allow you to hear the speaker's words translated real-time by our designated interpreter. My name is Cleveland Sam, and it is my pleasure to help you navigate through our short but interesting program this morning. We have 3 speeches, a cultural performance, and the unveiling of an animation video in English and Spanish, all wrapped into this little package we call a launch. The wastewater awareness campaign being launched today is being implemented by the Nature Conservancy Caribbean Division in 3 Caribbean states, Dominican Republic, Grenada, and Jamaica. As we launch this awareness campaign today, I couldn't help but reflect on the subject matter at hand. It is not the most attractive topic by any stretch of the imagination. By its very nature, after all, it's wastewater. But if one thinks about it, wastewater is absolutely necessary because it is generated by ordinary human living processes: bathing, laundry, washing the dishes, cleaning your car, getting a pedicure at the salon, and the list goes on. We naturally generate wastewater. The important message, though, is what happens to the wastewater we generate daily. And I am sure the speakers we have today will offer some workable solutions and interesting ideas. At this time, I would like to introduce our first speaker today, Dr. Elizabeth Schaefer. Dr. Schaefer is the Coral Conservation Program Manager for the Nature Conservancy Caribbean Division. Prior to this role, she served as the science lead for TNC's Reef Resilience Network. Liz, as we affectionately call her, is also the project manager for this TNC's wastewater project. Liz holds a PhD in marine science and conservation from Duke University and has published extensively. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Elizabeth Schaefer.
Thank you so much, Cleveland, for that introduction, and thank you all so much for being here today for this really exciting launch as we share some new materials to build awareness of the impact of wastewater pollution on the environment, as well as some solutions for people, for communities, and for governments. I wanted to just start by stating what we feel like is one of the most pressing issues for us. Wastewater pollution is actually one of the biggest causes of degradation to the coastal environment in the Caribbean. It's responsible for damage to coral reef ecosystems, for eutrophication, harmful algal blooms, and really significant risks to public health and economic welfare. So in 2021, in response to this growing threat, the Nature Conservancy in the Caribbean decided to assess wastewater management in 4 island nations, including the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, and Grenada, to really start to understand the barriers to handling wastewater and also opportunities for addressing the issue. And through further support from the United Nations Environment Program, we undertook a separate but complementary study looking at how nature-based solutions, or NBS, could be used to treat wastewater in the Caribbean region. So together, these analyses really highlighted for us that many people feel that it's vitally important to care for the health of the sea by reducing wastewater pollution. Importantly, people felt like it was up to everyone, the government, private sector, and their own communities to be reducing their contributions to this problem. And interestingly, we found that there was both a societal interest and a lot of opportunity for nature-based solutions, things like constructed wetlands, to be used as a key tool in wastewater management. So with this knowledge, TNC Caribbean embarked on a second phase of work, which is the project that we have now. That project started in 2022 with the generous support of Ocean Kind. And through this second phase of work, we've been very busy doing a lot of things. We've been conducting new surveys with community members in the Dominican Republic, Grenada, and Jamaica on knowledge, attitudes, and perceptions, or CAP surveys, on wastewater pollution and also treatment systems. And this survey reached nearly 1,200 people in those countries. We've supported capacity building for government staff and staff of NGOs in these 3 countries, as well as some staff from Haiti to attend 2 in-person workshops, including one led by UNEP and RARE on behavior change around wastewater, as well as a training led by TNC and our partner in the Dominican Republic, Yaque del Norte Water Fund, focused on constructed wetlands for wastewater pollution control. We've conducted a feasibility study in Jamaica to assess the use of constructed wetlands, this nature-based solution, to reduce wastewater pollution in a pretty populated area near very important coastal and marine ecosystems, including coral reefs. And we're working to identify now how we can build in wastewater pollution actions to solve that problem into our Caribbean strategies for both coral reef conservation as well as climate change adaptation. And of course, the reason why we're all here is that through this project, we seek to continue to work closely with communities to address wastewater pollution through awareness and education and communications materials targeted specifically for those communities where we conducted the surveys in the Dominican Republic, Grenada, and Jamaica. And we thank you all so much for being a part of this project and in many cases, being really important partners in this work. So we're here today to launch these new materials. I'm really excited to share them with you. And I hope that it starts new conversations for how we might be able to collaborate and work together across sectors to reduce the impacts of wastewater pollution to both the environment and to people. Thanks. Back to you, Cleveland.
Thank you so much, Liz, and thank you, of course, for your admirable leadership on this project as well as the project manager for the Caribbean Wastewater Project. While we wait on the minister, we are going to just switch the program slightly, and we're going to ask Rob to speak next while we wait on the minister. But before I do that, I'm just going to share just some factoids with you. Did you know Florida leads the United States in reusing water, with approximately 719 million gallons of reclaimed water used for beneficial purposes each day? All right, as I said, I'm going to introduce Rob to speak next as we wait on the minister. Dr. Rob Brumbaugh joined the Nature Conservancy in 2004 and is currently the Executive Director for TNC's Caribbean Division. In his more than 20 years with the organization, he has served in several other roles, including Senior Marine Scientist for the Florida chapter, Global Ocean Management and Habitat Restoration Lead on the Global Ocean Team. He conceived and led the development of the Nature Conservancy and Partners Mapping Ocean Wealth Initiative, which won a World Trade and Tourism Council Innovation Award, and helped shape the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project, which informs large-scale marine planning in waters throughout the Eastern Caribbean. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Rob Brumbaugh to bring your remarks.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Cleveland. And Dr. Shaver, thank you for the work, all the work in leading the team to this point where we can share some materials that we think are going to be invaluable for carrying together this really important, if slightly off-putting topic further, which is so important, as both Dr. Sam and Dr. Shaver have indicated. But so I'm anxious, and we'll certainly cede the floor to Minister James when she's able to join us. And in the meantime, I want to just acknowledge Lorraine Lucky, the executive director of the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association, and colleagues from across the Caribbean for joining us today. I want to build on something that Cleveland mentioned a moment ago, that Florida is a leader in, and I'm based in Florida. I've lived in the state for about 18 years now. But before I was based in this state, I was a sponsor for a restoration project occurring here in Florida. And the goal was to restore oyster reefs in some key waterways around Florida. And I knew from previous experience and early in my career that oyster reefs were restorable, but required clean water. At least they required oxygen, and too much sewage and nutrient pollution in places like the Chesapeake Bay had actually caused profound problems for oysters and other creatures that require oxygen in order to survive. So when I came to Florida to see how this project would unfold, I asked the question of the project leads, what happens to sewage and wastewater here in Florida? The sponsor for the project was actually the Wastewater Authority for the Loxahatchee River District. They looked at me like I was from some other planet. They said, "We don't discharge wastewater into the surface. We have a very deep well in which treated water is able to be injected very, very far down, way, way below any kind of drinking water aquifers." I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. They said, but we actually don't do much of that because there's such a demand for treated, recycled wastewater. We actually have a set of pipes that go out to users, customers, golf courses, banks that use water for irrigating their landscaping, and it's treated to the point where the plants are appreciating actually maybe just a little bit of nutrients, but not too much. And so it was my first experience here in Florida and really anywhere seeing how much of a circular economy actually could be built around sewage and wastewater. And so I kind of think about that as Cleveland shared that statistic with us about how much water actually gets used. And I think we focus on the word waste and forget about the word water in wastewater at times. So that's a very high-tech approach. It's a very expensive approach. And Florida is fortunate to have the financial resources to make something like that possible because of the scale. We're talking about a state with 20 million people in it. So there is an economy of scale there. But what about the rest of the world? Not every place is Florida. And most of the world does not treat its wastewater. 80% of the wastewater in the Caribbean is actually untreated or only primary treatment. And as a Nature Conservancy has a goal globally of protecting and restoring hundreds of thousands of acres of marine habitat just in the Caribbean, and millions of acres of ocean habitat across the Caribbean with partners. We know that those waters and those habitats are going to require clean water. And so we really do need to be leaning into this topic of what to do about that wastewater challenge. How do we make it possible to bring solutions forward that are community driven, community owned, and with the financial backing that they need to be sustainable over time? Well, as Dr. Shaver said, we've done our homework. We've surveyed more than 1,000 people to really understand what is the knowledge level about this challenging topic that is really part and parcel of not just conservation, but economic development and growth in the Caribbean. What is the knowledge? What are the attitudes? And then where might we find solutions? And so armed with that knowledge, one of the things that became very clear was that actually there is increasing awareness needed to make solutions possible. So as a first step And as a collaborative community of everybody who's joined us here on the webinar today, we are bringing forward these assets, these marketing and communications and awareness raising materials to complement the capacity building that we've done across the Caribbean and the 4 countries that we've been focused on so far. So I'm really excited to actually hear some of the and get to know some of these resources a little bit more um, in person here and as alongside everybody else. And I realize I'm the one person standing in the way at this point between my presentation or my remarks and some of the cultural resources and the wonderful poetry of Miss Brown. So Cleveland, I think with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Rob. Just to inform our attendees that the minister is unavoidably absent. However, a representative from her ministry will be joining us to present the remarks on her behalf. So while we await the arrival of Mrs. St. Louis, we're going to call on Jean Brown to perform for you. But let me just give you a little bit about Jean, because Jean is no ordinary lady. Miss Jean P. Brown is a Jamaican educator as well as an environmental educator. She completed tertiary studies at Monique Teachers College and the University of Technology in Jamaica, as well as the Kentucky State University in the United States and the University of the West Indies Open Campus. She has served the Jamaican public education system for approximately 40 years and has been an environmentalist for 35 years. She uses her performing arts talent and environmental skills to make her lessons fun and impactful for her students. Jean played an integral role in infusing environmental education in the school's curriculum. She's a prolific writer and performer. Please welcome Miss Jean P. Brown.
Hello, I am coming. I'm coming. Miss June, is what bring you here so early in the morning, all dressed for road? Miss Hilda, is down at St. George's Hospital going to look for Miss Mary? I never know that Mary in the hospital. Yes, ma'am. Mary Black, mad out. Oh, no. How so? Well, as you know, Miss Mary has the biggest fruit and vegetable farm on the east. Everybody travel from all over to buy our vegetables, lettuce, tomato, cucumbers, mangoes, and even malacca pear. That is true, that is true. Well, since last July, she has not sold a thing from her farm. Everything went up in smoke because of the bushfire brought on by the drought. Oh, no. That is really sad. Yes, ma'am. She took it to heart and stressed out and kept walking up and down crying, "Whoa, whoa, all my money burn up." One night, she dashed out of her house at a terrific speed. Nobody could catch her. They thought that she used to train with Usain Bolt. He's down at the farm. They go and find her, crying and crying. My God, this is so surreal. You know, just last night I dreamed I was island hopping. The first island I stopped was Grenada. And I saw that they're having all types of challenges with drought and bushfires and farms burning up. But you know, Mary didn't have to mad out, because I also saw that wastewater could be used to help. Really? Oh, yes. Remember, wastewater is water that has already been used. So if all them homes and businesses, restaurants, industries over there would collect the wastewaters and sewage, have them treated, and then channel them back out onto the farm, it would help to counteract the drought conditions, and Mary would have fruits and vegetables to sell. Wow! But other countries having the same issues. It looked like it is a Caribbean thing. I know, because the next country I stopped was Jamaica. And my cousin down there tell me that they're having all kinds of water issues, flooding and all kinds of things. And you know, their water table is very high, you know. So any little thing happen, their water underground can get contaminated easy. But not only that, when people wash and throw out the water or use bathroom and they have a soak away thing, they don't realize that it don't gone. They think it disappear. No, it can go and damage the underground aquifer recharge areas. And worst of all, if it go right out into the coastal waters, then you know it going to damage the coral reefs. And as you know, coral reefs are not only habitat for fishes, they are also a protective barrier around the islands to prevent those wicked hurricanes from damaging us. No, if they collect all them wastewaters from hotels and homes and schools and all those places and put it into a central sewage system, they can reuse it, man. And plants and people, homes and businesses will have adequate water for industrial, agricultural, and domestic purposes. Miss Hilda, it sounds good, like we have some good solutions out there. But you know, that says climate change doing all of this. That might be true. But climate change is the result of many negative human impacts. So everybody has a role to play. You know what? The next island I stopped was the Dominican Republic. And I saw where them having some challenges with water quality issues and sanitation problems, especially in the rural areas. But you know, one good thing I saw in that dream, them start up some good things because them start to make some wetlands. I call them man-made wetlands, you know. What you saying? Then something like that can really happen? Yes, man. You know, all we need is a little coordination and collaboration by everybody. I like that, Miss Hilda. It means that I have a part to play. Exactly. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to go and write some tips about wastewater and get them to put it on the air, on the radio, on the television. Girl, that sounds good. I am with you. When you go up to the hospital, report to me how Mary is doing. Yes, ma'am, I certainly will. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Wastewater Tips. Stop! You do not have to waste your waste or gray water. Don't just throw it all away. Build wetlands to treat, recycle, reuse wastewater for agricultural purposes, domestic, and industrial as well. That was Wastewater Tips from Cleveland Sound.
Thank you so much, Jean Brown. Always powerful, dramatic, and on point. We really appreciate your time and energy, and of course, more than anything else, the message that you are able to convey in your own style today. Really, really appreciate that, Jean. And I'm sure I see Rob is nodding, and so is Liz. We're probably going to take that and put that as part of our education package for this program. That was really awesome, Jean. We thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wow. All right. And we are awaiting our colleague from the Ministry of in Grenada. I'm not sure if Mrs. St. Louis has arrived. Have we seen her? She haven't arrived as yet. So what we will do, we will proceed to our unveiling of the animation videos, and then hopefully by then we will be joined by, sorry, yes, Miss St. Louis is here. I just saw her. Good morning, Mrs. St. Louis, just on time, perfect timing.
Good
We
morning.
really thank you
Good
for
morning. Good morning. I am so delighted to be able to join you. Thank you so very much. I bring greetings on behalf of Minister Karine James, Minister with responsibility for climate resilience, the environment and renewable energy. She sends her deepest apologies, but the current parliamentary sitting has gone on longer than anticipated, and therefore, as a result, she cannot be with us in person at this point in time, but has given assurance that she remains completely committed to the work with wastewater and is delighted again for the opportunity of the ministry and the government of Grenada to partner. So permit me to share in her own words, her short feature presentation, Chair. Is this a good time to proceed?
Please proceed.
Okay, excellent, good. So thank you so very much, Chair. Executive Director of the Nature Conservancy Caribbean Division, Dr. Robert Brumbo, Project Manager, Dr. Elizabeth Shaver, Regional Representatives of Healthy Oceans Project, National Representatives of Jamaica and Dominican Republic, Regional Nature Conservancy representative and staff of the Nature Conservancy in Grenada, permanent secretaries, representatives of the Grenada National Water and Sewage Authority, land-based sources of pollution focal point and wastewater sector representatives, civil society and community groups, members of the media and other invited guests. Good morning, good day to those in Jamaica, those in the Dominican Republic, and those here at home in Grenada who will be participating in this wastewater public education and awareness campaign as part of the Healthy Oceans program. I am delighted to join you for the launch of this regional wastewater public awareness campaign. At the outset, let me recognize and thank the organizers of this virtual launch for the invitation to speak in support of healthy oceans and support building awareness around wastewater management as a critical aspect of maintaining healthy oceans. Coming from the fishing capital of the Tri-Island state of Grenada, where oceans are in our DNA, so to speak, I have grown up understanding the importance of the oceans to us culturally, socially, environmentally, as well as economically. In Grenada, the ocean plays a crucial role in supporting livelihoods, particularly through the fisheries sector, sea moss farming, and of course, our tourism sector. Grenada has over 2,000 fishermen and sea moss farmers whose livelihoods are directly linked to a healthy marine environment. There are also those who are indirectly linked through fisheries-related activities, such as sales and marketing of fish products, transport and water taxi services, and traditional boat building and other activities. These are all linked to our fishing industry. Grenada's tourism industry also heavily relies on oceans and marine environment. Activities such as diving, snorkeling, and boat tours account for over 40% of the jobs in Grenada. This translates into over 20,000 jobs. Tourism sector not only provides direct employment, but also supports many indirect jobs related to hospitality services. Therefore, healthy oceans are clearly vital for economic stability and employment in our tri-island state and beyond. We now live in a time when underwater drones can dive into the depths of our oceans and collect information on new marine species around our hydrothermal vents, as well as monitor the health of coral reefs and seagrass beds, and where AI technology and machine learning is being used by robots to map our ocean floor and to assess the impact of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution on the health of our oceans. We have access to real-time visuals of AI-powered underwater robots as they track invasive species and associated habitat conditions. These underwater robots are also being used to track the movements of endangered marine species and collect environmental data, for example, on sea temperature, which is linked to global warming, and on oxygen levels, which is linked to the health of animals and plants that live in our oceans. Yet, even with these exciting advances in technology and programming, we are also aware that the challenges to ocean health are serious and continue to escalate. Ocean habitat degradation, unsustainable land management practices, land-based sources of pollution, alien invasive species, overfishing, climate change, lack of data and information, and limited resources continue to present serious challenges to ocean health for Grenada and many other small island nations. Today, I'm happy to be here with you, focusing on one challenge to healthy oceans: wastewater. Wastewater is a particular concern as climate is impacting our water cycle. So what happens to all the water is now important. It is also a concern as wastewater is a land-based pollutant that we can address from the island context. Wastewater from domestic, industrial, commercial, or agricultural activities is now affecting our marine environment and the plants and animals within our oceans. It can range from gray water found in our roadside drains and gutters, or stormwater runoff, or black water from our toilets, or industrial wastewater, or surface runoff from roads, or agricultural leachate. It gets into our nearshore marine environment and can create a huge environmental challenge for the health of oceans. While I may not be an expert, let me just list some of the serious ways that wastewater can affect the health of Grenadian marine environments. Number one, wastewater introduces various pollutants into the ocean, including sediment and soil. Various nutrients and fertilizers get in, pesticides, trace metals, oils and other hydrocarbons, pharmaceutical products, plastics, including microplastics, which present huge challenges to the health of our oceans. Secondly, bacteria that break down waste in wastewater use huge amounts of oxygen. And when these get into the nearshore marine environment, these may create dead zones. Thirdly, high nutrient levels from fertilizers that get from farmers' fields into rivers and then into the sea can cause huge algal blooms that smother corals and change our coral reef ecosystems. Fourthly, contaminants and pathogens in untreated wastewater increase the stress and susceptibility to disease of our fish populations, our corals, seagrasses, and other marine species. Fifth, excess nutrients turbidity, and sedimentation in wastewater affect the survival of our seagrass beds, coral reefs, and marine life. Sixthly, pesticides, insecticides, and other chemicals have neurotoxic and hormone-disrupting effects on marine species. Worse, these species can be part of complex food webs with bioaccumulation that can result in them ending up on our plates and affecting human health. Not just directly, but indirectly, wastewater has been shown to reduce the resilience of marine ecosystems, making them more sensitive to ocean warming, for example, our coral reefs, and ocean acidification. Effective wastewater treatment and wastewater management is therefore essential, as it can significantly reduce the amount of harmful pollutants entering the ocean. This in turn can support healthier marine ecosystems, promoting resilience and adaptive capacity. Our actions today to launch the public education and awareness on wastewater form a part of a bigger focus and emphasis on our marine environment and the health of our oceans and ocean ecosystems. It remains critical for us as small island developing nations to arm ourselves with the knowledge and to empower our citizens to act through such public education and awareness programs on issues affecting the health of our oceans. As the Minister for Environment, environmental protection of our oceans is of critical importance, and keeping the focus on ocean action is essential for us to conserve and protect this shared resource. Wastewater management includes the setup of a regulatory framework, including guidelines and regulations, and also monitoring, along with the use of innovative engineering and technologies. These actions go hand in hand with public engagement and public awareness and form essential parts of tackling wastewater management for healthy oceans. In conclusion, healthy oceans are fundamental to our environmental, social, and economic stability as small island developing states. Effective wastewater management contributes to SDG 14, and in doing so, through a multiplier effect, can have a positive impact on other SDGs, including SDG 6 on water and SDG 15. Raising public awareness about wastewater management is essential for improving local practices and safeguarding ocean health. Engaging our communities through education, outreach, and collaboration will be pivotal in achieving sustainable solutions to these pressing environmental challenges. Today, we take one such step towards making a positive difference in wastewater management. I therefore welcome the launch of this wastewater public awareness program, and I look forward to the benefits of an informed public, including better decisions made to support healthy oceans. We can all be change makers through informed action, so I encourage the public to participate fully as we roll out these events. Thank you. This is the end of the address. The feature presentation invited by the Minister, Minister Honorable Karine James, on the occasion of this launch. Thank you so very much for the opportunity to share her presentation. I look forward to her following up directly with you. Back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Mrs. St. Louis, we are so delighted that you were able to step in for the minister and deliver such a passionate address. You did an excellent job representing Minister James, and please convey to her our sincerest gratitude.
I certainly will. Thank you so much.
I'm also here smiling because I know our lead scientist, Dr. Steve Schill, would certainly be smiling and identifying with the technological aspects of your speech. Thank you so much. The centerpiece of this wastewater awareness campaign is a lively and infectious animation video that has been produced in English and Spanish. This video is the result of many weeks or months of collaboration and coordination and iteration and it is our pleasure to present it to you now. We will have the video first in English and then followed by the Spanish version. Enjoy.
Water flow, 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 water flow. The water put it just like a freestyle. The lifeblood flowing mile by mile. Its legacy, a beat that don't stop like Bob Marley said. One love on top. The sewage water out of sight, but it's always wrong. Don't lose the light. From factories and wells so deep, corals, mangroves and fish they weep. Green water for the garden, keep it green. Save the cash and the earth gets clean. We use the water with a mindful mind. It's out of sight but never far behind. In nature, the answers always flow. Like water running pure, the cycle grows. It renews itself, same drop, same beat. It's all good, man, you got the heat. Water flow, water flow. No clean water, no vibes we grow. Protect our water, protect our future.
Time to go.
Water flow, water flow. Water flow, water flow, water flow.
Vamos.
Water flow, water flow. El agua es pura como un freestyle, es nuestra fuente líquido vital. El agua es un legado, un beat que no para, como dijo el residente, un chorrito de agua clara. El agua residual está fuera de la vista, pero siempre presente, no pierdas la pista. Agricultura, industrias y pozos abiertos, corales, manglares y peces han muerto. Aguas grises para el riego, jardines más verdes. Ahorras el cuarto y la tierra agradece. Usamos la agüita de forma consciente, está fuera de la visa, no fuera de tu mente. En la naturaleza tenemos soluciones, como agua que fluye sin contaminaciones. Se renueva el ciclo, es una misma gota. Táchale, bro, ya agarraste la nota. Water flow, sin agua limpia no hay ritual. Water flow, agua pura, futuro y paz. Protege nuestras aguas, protege nuestro futuro.
Adiós.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Water flow, water flow. I hope you enjoy that. And I know many of you will be singing water flow consciously or unconsciously over the next couple of weeks. We will be sharing the animation video with our partners and media colleagues for amplification. It will also be shared on all of TNC's social media channels. And of course, if your organization would like to get a copy of the video, we will be more than happy to share it with you so that you can share with your partners and stakeholders. Just let us know and we'll be happy to share it with you. In the coming weeks, we'll also release other elements of the campaign, including signature graphic, as well as a country-specific graphic for each of the 3 target countries that are part of the program. And there's also a special Caribbean Currents online episode on wastewater issues in the Caribbean. So stay tuned and follow TNC Caribbean on our social media channels. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. It is said that a thankful heart is not only the greatest virtue, but perhaps the parent of all virtues. And to ensure that we show our virtue, our communication specialist, Claudia Leovano, will offer words of gratitude. Claudia leads our communication on several of our regional projects, as well as she is also responsible for media relations. Claudia also worked very closely with the animation company to produce the videos that you just watched. Please welcome Claudia to the virtual lectern.
Thank you, Cleveland, and good morning, everyone. As we come to the close of this fruitful session, we want to express our sincere gratitude to everyone who made today's event a success. A huge thank you to our esteemed speakers, Dr. Elizabeth Shaver, Dr. Rob Brumbaugh, and Ms. Aria St. Louis on behalf of Minister Honorable Corrine James for sharing their knowledge, perspectives, and experiences with us. And of course to Ms. Jean Brown for her incredible and valuable performance. A special thanks to our moderator, Dr. Cleveland Sam, our interpreters, and our IT technician. We appreciate your support in making this event accessible to all and ensuring that everything ran smoothly. To our participants, thank you so much for your engagement and for being part of this important cause. Thank you all once again for being part of TNC's wastewater campaign launch. We look forward to continuing this important conversation in the future. Take care and see you next time.